For most of our lives, we've been told one thing about money. Save, save, save for some far-off day called retirement. But what if that's a trap? What if the real goal isn't to die rich, but to live rich? Today, we're diving into a pretty radical financial philosophy that turns all that traditional advice completely on its head. It's not about your net worth. It's about your life's fulfillment. And that's not just some random opinion. That's a direct quote from author and multimillionaire Bill Perkins. In his view, dying with a huge bank account isn't a sign of success at all. It's a failure, a monumental failure, because you've traded your one non-renewable resource, your life, for a number you never actually used. And this is really the core question the Die with Zero philosophy forces every single one of us to ask. It's a wake-up call, right? It challenges that financial autopilot that so many of us are on, where we're just endlessly saving for a future that's not even guaranteed, while today just slips right through our fingers. So let's get into the first big idea. Conventional wisdom says your goal is to make your wealth go up and up and up, but the Die with Zero philosophy, or DWZ for short, says, nope, you've got it all wrong. The goal is not to have the biggest score at the end of the game, it's to have played the best game possible. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This philosophy reframes what money even is. It's not just dollars and cents. Think of it as a storage container for your life energy. Every dollar represents a piece of your finite time on this planet that you traded for it. So any money left over when you die, that's literally wasted life. It's hours you worked that you never cashed in for joy or memories or making a difference. And this is the heart of the mindset shift. This isn't about being reckless or irresponsible. The idea is to be strategic. It's about consciously converting your financial wealth into a rich portfolio of life experiences and maximizing your fulfillment all along the way, not just hoping for some golden years at the very end. Okay, so if money is just a tool, what are we actually building with it? Well, according to the Die with Zero philosophy, we should be building a portfolio, but not of stocks and bonds. We should be building a portfolio of life experiences. This idea of memory dividends is an absolute game changer. Think about it. That trip you take when you're 30 isn't just a one-week good time. It pays you back for the rest of your life in memories, in stories you tell, in the person it helps you become. And just like money, the earlier you invest in these experiences, the more time they have to compound and grow in value. This timeline just lays out the central challenge of life so perfectly, doesn't it? Our three most important resources, our health, our money, and our time, they're almost never aligned. In your 20s and 30s, you've got all the health and time in the world, but usually no money. Then you hit your 40s and 50s, you've got money, but good luck finding the time. And then, when you finally have time and money in your 60s and 70s, your health starts to become the limiting factor. The big takeaway here is you can't just wait. You have to be intentional about what you do in each of these seasons of life. Okay, so we get the why. It makes a ton of sense. But what about the how? How do you actually do this? Well, Perkins lays out a practical framework to get you off that financial autopilot and into what he calls intentional life design. Now, in the book, he actually has 9 rules, but they really boil down to these 3 core principles. First, invest in experiences early. Go on that trip, learn that skill now while you're young and healthy enough to really get the most out of it and maximize those memory dividends. Second, give with a warm hand. Give money to your kids or to charities while you're alive to see the good it does. And third, plan your life in what he calls time buckets. This means looking at your life in, say, 5 or 10-year chunks and actively deciding what major experiences do I want to have in my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, so you don't wake up one day with a list of regrets. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. This is the first thing everybody asks. If I'm supposed to die with zero, what on earth do I leave my children? Well, the philosophy has a really interesting and I think pretty compelling answer to that. The answer is simple. Give it to them when they actually need it. I mean, what's the logic in waiting until your kids are 60 years old and probably financially stable themselves to give them a big inheritance? Instead, give them that money when they're in their late 20s or early 30s, when it could literally change their life. Help with a down payment, start a business, ease the cost of having kids. Not only is it way more impactful for them, but you actually get the joy of seeing them use it. So for those of you familiar with financial planning, this chart really shows the night and day difference between Die with Zero and the classic 4% rule. See, the 4% rule is all about preservation. It's designed so you can live off the interest and never ever touch the original pile of money. Die with Zero is the exact opposite. It's about de-accumulation, strategically and intentionally spending down that pile over your lifetime. This means your net worth is supposed to peak maybe in your 50s and then start going down. And that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign the plan is working. Now look, we have to be real here. This is not a risk-free strategy. Of course not. There's the big one, longevity risk. What if you outlive your money? And then there are unpredictable and potentially huge healthcare costs. And of course, the market could crash at exactly the wrong time. But honestly, the biggest hurdle for most of us isn't the math. It's psychological. After a lifetime of being told to save, 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 actually starting to spend that nest egg can feel wrong, even scary. And that brings us to the final and I think most important point of this whole thing. It's really easy to get caught up in the numbers and the calculations, but die with zero is not an accounting strategy. It's a philosophy for living. The point is not to literally time it so your bank account hits zero on the day you die. That's impossible, right? The goal is a tool. It's an extreme idea designed to shock you out of that passive default mode of just accumulating money for the sake of it. It forces you to start asking, actively, what is the absolute best use of my life energy right now? We're bringing this quote back because it just says it all. This is the entire philosophy in one sentence. It's a powerful shift in perspective, a reminder that the number in your bank account is not the final score. The richness of your life is. So, in the end, this isn't about someone telling you what to do. It's a prompt. It's asking you to take a hard look at your own life, your own values, your one finite shot on this planet. Your life is the greatest, most valuable asset you will ever own. So the only real question is, what are you going to invest in?